All right, here we go. It is rainy and drizzling outside, but we are rocking and rolling inside. I have Mr. Jackson Strong with me today on Moneyball. Welcome to the show, my man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. This is awesome.
It's my pleasure. Let's dive right into you being selected this year by the Detroit Tigers, which is an excellent, dude, that's a high draft pick. I follow baseball very closely. We go down to spring training every year. Congratulations. And not only selection, but selected that high, man. Tell me about it.
Yeah, I mean, going in the seventh round, kind of going into the day, I was, my agent's kind of talking to me like, hey, about half the teams have you 4, 5, 6. So it was kind of like, okay, like expect somewhere kind of in there. And then
Okay.
sitting there with my family, with my girlfriend's family, we're all sitting there, rounds 4, 5, 6, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like, you kind of get nervous, kind of start sweating a little bit, but it worked out. And, honestly, I'm just thankful to be where I am, just be drafted in general. So, if you would have told me at the beginning of my junior year, back in January, February, that I would have went in the seventh round, I would have said you're crazy. So it was honestly I'm just grateful to, just to go in general.
You seem very humble. You seem, just very real. I think every kid's dream is to be drafted, into major league. Well, probably not, because when you're a kid, you don't know how it works. You just want to play, right? When you're a kid, you think you can just sign up and go play for the Braves. I mean, how was the trajectory? So, I mean, you started at Canisius. You didn't transfer from anywhere, if I read correctly.
Yeah, correct.
And what do you think it was that kind of stuck out or got you on the map to the point where, people were calling saying, hey, you're going to be looked at for the draft this year?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, even starting in high school, it was like, you talk to a lot of the baseball coaches and, guys around here. And, if they looked at me in high school, they'd be like, good high school player, but, nothing like a guy like Joe Mack, who was a first rounder out of high school.
Sure.
We're the same age. I played with him throughout high school.
Okay.
And it's like, that guy's different in high school. You look at me, you look at him. Obviously, we're in a similar spot now. We're both playing professional, but in high school, it wasn't like that for me at all. Good high school player, but nothing crazy. And then, the development into Canisius, I get into Canisius at just in terms of maturity and weight wise, I get in there at about 170, 175. Okay. And I graduated this year at 190, 195. So it's like putting on that weight, just maturing.
Getting after it, right?
Just maturing in that way. And, just it was a whole development thing. Honestly, hats off to all the coaching staff there, all my teammates, just everybody pushing me to be the best I can be. And honestly, as much as it was physically, it's just a mental shift of like, you got to realize that if this is really what you want, then you have to really put all you have into it. Because a lot of people, as cliche as that sounds, you have to realize that that's what the best of the world do. And in order to be the best of the world, you have to sacrifice that. And, there's sacrifices that I've made, freshman, sophomore, junior year that I'm like, wow, like, do I regret that? Maybe in the moment, but, looking back at it, it's like, it was necessary to get to where I am.
Okay. Give me an example of that.
I mean, just thinking, it's not even like, all the times I've, my buddies have been like, dude, like, come out,
Yeah. And that's what I thought you meant, because it's tough, when you're high school and then college, man, and you're at such a crossroads, right? And I personally know so many phenomenal athletes that may have taken a wrong turn, and maybe it didn't work out exactly like it was supposed to. And I feel like you really, really need to stick to things now, and you need to mute everything else out, man, right? Like, other than girls are going to be there. You need to have your girl, but you need to mute out all the noise of who's going to this party, who's doing this, peer pressure. You don't seem like a type of dude that would be easily peer pressured. So that you have going for you on top. You're very well spoken. You're very mature. But that's where a lot of people do get into trouble. And I'm sure you've seen it over the years. You probably played with some amazing talents, right? And you may have seen that where they just kind of throw the career away. I've had friends that have done that. I mean, how did you stay focused? What were a couple of, I guess, what were your key ingredients to staying focused and staying on track?
Just the main thing is just the end goal, the end goal in mind. It's like, you always have that in mind, for me, it's just playing the major leagues. And it's like, you always have that in the back of your mind. It's like, okay, am I going to go to the major leagues if I stay out till 3 a.m. drinking every night? No, like, that's just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, nobody does that. And it's like, what do those guys do? And how do I prepare and do what those guys do? So I just try to model myself after those guys and what would they do. Guys that I've seen go through it, Matt Duffy's a great example, a guy out of Canisius that was drafted in 23. Just the way he went about his work, the way he, just everything about him, the way he carried himself, very well spoken, just confidence just exuding out of him. I say confidence, not cockiness, because there's a big difference. And,
My man. Dude,
he,
what you just said, I got to interrupt you because what you just said,
yeah,
I say that constantly. I live by that. Cockiness and confidence. There's a fine line, right? They teeter sometimes, but walk tall. Know who you are when you walk into a room without ever trying to insult anyone else or put down anyone else. And I think that's the difference right there.
yeah, absolutely. And I think that was a big thing with him. And it was like, I spent my fair amount of time with him, even when, because obviously, balance, like we go out places sometimes, I go out with him and, and some of the other boys, but it's just, knowing who you are and people seeing who you are and respecting you, you walk into a place and hold yourself with confidence and people respect you.
Yep.
And I think, that's a big thing, especially with him. And I kind of got that from him for sure.
So you'd consider him a bit of a mentor or someone that you kind of a role modeled, right? I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. Being with him, it was my sophomore year, his junior year. And then last year, I reached out to him a bunch in the fall, like, hey, dude, like, because it was, need to take that next step. Sophomore year was great, but, need to take that next step going forward. And it was just like, hey, like, what did you do? Routines, preparation, stuff like that. And, he's a pitcher, but just mentally too. Like, how do you deal with that? Scouts reaching out to you, scouting directors wanting to talk to you. So it was good to have a guy to lean on during that process for sure.
yeah, I mean that's a great answer, I can tell you, and I can say that pitcher, outfielder, shortstop, whatever it is, the mental is all the same. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? You might not go out and throw yips all over the place, right? But I mean, in the same token, a slump can be considered the same thing, right? So, who do you emulate your game after? I watched you a little bit, and I have a few people that you kind of look like, but who do you emulate your game after?
I think I've always wanted to emulate Ken Griffey Jr. I mean, he's been my guy forever. I mean,
Don't set your goals high or anything.
yeah, right. No, I mean, in terms of who I admire and role models and who I look up to and who I want to play like, he's the guy. In terms of player comps, I've heard Cedric Mullins. I've heard kind of like Andrew Benintendi ish. I've heard that kind of comp. But yeah, I mean, just Ali De La Cruz is a guy I look up to just speed wise and how he plays the game. I
Yeah.
don't really want to model my game after him per se, but the way he plays the game, I think, is absolutely electric.
So I'm a giant Braves fan. The whole family are Braves fans, and I don't think it would hurt at all for someone to say Ronald Acuna, right?
It would not hurt. That's
It wouldn't
that's a
hurt. I mean, I
yeah.
don't know if the speed's quite there. I saw you move. You definitely have some speed. That guy's on another planet. A couple of those guys just are on another planet with speed. But I look at some other things, some small things, tracking, just kind of the jump on the ball, right? And I've seen that. I've seen I don't know. I don't want to offend you with anybody. I've seen I don't think I can offend you by saying any major leaguer, but I've seen a lot of Verdugo in kind of some things that you do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that makes sense to you, but you can kind of look and see, and sometimes you can fall into that trap of like, hey, who do they remind you of look wise or anything like that, right? And I don't think that's the case here. You don't really look like Verdugo. Benintendi, maybe you got the stash rocking. So
Yeah, yeah, I'm rocking the stash for November for sure.
the stash is just where it's at. I mean, for baseball, period, man. Skeens has started a whole new world with the stash here, right?
Yeah, dude, it's a great look. It's kind of a recent thing, but yeah, no, I love it.
I got to meet him maybe end of the season in Pittsburgh.
Nice. Wow.
We went out and we were just doing a little something, a little media tour of the stadium kind of thing. And he happened to be throwing in the bullpen. Real nice guy. I had my boys with me. I have three sons, and talked to him for a minute, and he threw a couple balls up and stuff. And that guy, I can't say enough about just the way he composes himself. And goes back to kind of what you were just saying with how to be a class act athlete. And this guy, man, like it was a bullpen session, right? But I could just see he was taking it as serious as if it was a World Series game, just laser focused. And this is with a couple idiots next to me. They were screaming at him and stuff. The one guy, like a grown man, threw a hat at him, hit him right in the head. Hey, can you sign this for me? And I would have I would have been like not as kind as he was. He actually signed it and gave it back. And I mean, they hit him right in the head when the guy's trying to pitch. But those are some things you're going to have to block out too as you get more successful, right? And it draws back on not wanting to be a jerk or anything to fans, but also knowing that there's a time and a place, to get into that kind of stuff. You're so early into the career, but what is your take on that stuff? What do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, just for a guy like that, it's like there's so much surrounding you, and it's like you have to like compartmentalize. I think it's easy for him now, just because of all the hype at LSU, all the hype coming into it. I don't want to say he's used to it because it's impossible to get used to, even for pro athletes. It's impossible to get used to, but yeah, I think it's tough, especially when it's new. So for me, it's not that's not really an issue.
Well,
Yeah,
it will be.
yeah,
Yes. You
yeah,
know what? Yeah, I like it, man. Make sure you keep
yeah,
that yet in there because it will be. You stay the
exactly.
course and it will be. So when you were drafted, did you go right down to Lakeland?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, right down to Lakeland.
Went down to Lakeland, worked out, did that kind of thing. Now you're back home. Where's home for you?
Yeah, home is in West Seneca, New York. It's like right in Buffalo.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm in Hamburg. We're not too far away. And you're going to be back down in Lakeland spring training, correct?
yeah. Spring training, like mid end of February. I'll be back down there.
Okay. So they invite you back down and then it's show and prove, right? It's time to just get
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, and then it's back to the grind. I mean, it's a grind now, but it's nice to be at home with family. I'm a huge just relationships in general guy. That's always been like a big thing for me.
That's
So,
it. Yeah. Yeah.
family's huge, obviously, just relationships in general, my friends, my girlfriend, just every relationship I have in my life is huge for me. So it's good to be back here at home and, working through get to like being able to see my friends, my family, everybody. It's awesome.
Has life changed at all for you since the draft? And what I mean by that, are there friends that maybe, you haven't spoken to in 10 years that are reaching out now or anything like that? Or is there any small changes?
Yeah, definitely some small changes that maybe I was or wasn't expecting, but guys that I haven't talked to since I played with them 10U baseball or
Yeah.
modified baseball. It's like, dude, I haven't talked to you in forever. It's like, it's all appreciated. It's all love. I mean, those guys just want to see me succeed. And it's like leaving for them to reach out means a lot to me, just like, because they remember who I was and, leaving an impression on them is cool. Like that's all I try to do. So
Most of them, I think I'd agree with. You have to kind of sniff them out, right, sometimes and see what the intentions are. But again, man, you're a very cerebral kid. I can tell
yeah,
that that's not going to be an issue for you. Lakeland's interesting. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere in Florida. Well, it's about my folks are in Wesley Chapel, so it's about 45 minutes from there, and it's actually the closest spring training facility to their home without me going over to the beach, right, where there's
okay,
traffic. So I've been to Tigers from convenience standpoint 5, 6 years in a row, and
nice.
I make a point to take my kids and go, and it's very accessible there. Media is very accessible. The day I went, actually, they were playing the Yanks, and there's that little bridge there in the back. And I walked right over there, and Boone was there, and I bumped into him, and we started talking for 20 minutes. It's very accessible. It's a cool compound. I think they have some really good fans. What are you expecting? With Detroit, I mean, obviously, you're going to need to earn your keep. And if you start with Lakeland, the actual team, not the demographic, and work your way up. What are you expecting, or what has the organization told you so far about, hey, this is what you should expect from us?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a point since day one, just development. They preach development. They have we were just Baseball America's #1 hitting in the whole and like all the minor leagues. So they've been huge for that. And they preach that this is going to be the most competitive spring training in maybe 10 years, just because of how on the come up Detroit is.
Yeah.
And they've been working in the minors for a long time, and it's finally starting to pay off. We made our run this year in the majors. That was awesome. We had the most wins out of any organization. Our minor leagues across all 4 teams, we had the
Oh,
most
really?
wins. And
Okay.
yeah, we had the most wins in any organization. So yeah, we're super on the come up, and I think it's just starting to show now in the majors too, especially with our young guys. And that's just a testament to who they are as a program. They preach, if you're doing well, you're gonna get a shot, and it doesn't matter how old you are. If you're sticking to what their plan is for you, and you follow what they want you to do, and you give it your all, you perform, you're gonna play. It doesn't matter who you are, what just shows guys in the major leagues now. It just shows that it doesn't matter who, doesn't matter when. If you do well, you're gonna get a shot, which is what I love about Detroit.
That's actually a great point. I think sometimes I'll use Jackson Holiday for an example. The amount of pressure on that kid being 19 years old, and the pressure of Matt, and then just being the next phenom. Not name dropping. I did have the opportunity to meet him a couple times too. He's got a Moneyball hat in his truck, and he
Nice.
recognized and told me about it, which was cool. But shout out, Jackson Holiday.
Sure.
But he, in a whole nother realm, like this poor kid, he could do no right. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like you're
Yeah.
19 and your expectations. So he got the call, in my opinion, way too early. He went up. He was hitting like 100, right? Went back. came and then started to show what he could do a little bit, but still is fluttering. He's, he goes back to the minors and he dominates with Detroit. And the reason I bring that up, man, the Orioles are a great blueprint, in my opinion. Their GM and their organization is doing everything perfect. And I think Detroit is not far behind.
Yeah.
They're doing a good balance of pitching and young talent. And you know what they're doing? They're saying, okay, listen, if we have 2 or 3 guys that can play short, that's fine. Because those 3 guys might be better than 10 other guys. They're stacking at positions instead of saying there's a need for 1, there's a need for 3, there's a need for LF, right? They're saying we're going to get as much talent as we can and let it weed itself out.
Yeah.
I feel like Detroit's kind of following that blueprint a little bit. Detroit's maybe focusing a little bit more on pitching with Skubal and a few other guys.
Yeah.
But I think you are going to have an opportunity there,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, to your point, even in the draft this year, first overall, we take 3 shortstops in the first 6 rounds of the draft. Like
that's exactly that's what I'm saying.
They're all phenomenal players. Like you take a 1st round, 5th round, 6th round shortstop, I believe it was, and it's like they're all unbelievable ball players, and they're all going to have to the next level.
Yeah, dude, it's a great point. And think about that. You're taking 3 shortstop, and these are the best players in the world.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, Jackson, you're one of the best players in the world, and that might be a tough pill for you to swallow, but listen, man, you've made it. Getting drafted is making it. Playing D1 is making it.
Yeah.
You should be extremely proud of your accomplishments. With a name like Jackson Strong, your only options were baseball, movies, and porn. I think porn, right? Those were pretty much your options, man. And I see you got the stash for it. So, I mean, you're ready in case there's an injury or something. You're on standby.
I do. I saw that coming.
Sorry. I don't know if it's ever been said, but I had to do it because it's just.
No, I love it. That's funny.
It's just perfect, man.
That's awesome.
But
awesome.
I mean, my son's name is Jackson. He's Jackson Scott. Jackson Strong, though, like I said, even my wife, when I mentioned, I said, a couple of you guys that were going to be on the show, and she goes, "Oh my God, I love that name, man." It's just, it's with a name like that, you can't help but be successful. I think. I don't know. You got to jumpstart on things.
There you go. I mean, I'll use it to as much as an advantage as I can. That's for sure.
Right. Thank Mr. and Mrs. Strong.
Yeah, mom and dad. Yeah, absolutely.
West Seneca's blowing up, man. They got that little girl on The Voice.
Yeah, they do. They got on The Voice. I want to shout out our QB's middle linebacker, Sean Dolak. Don't know if that name's familiar. Having an unbelievable year. He's the best linebacker. Gonna get drafted in that from my high school, from West Seneca. Yeah, want to shout out him. He's doing great stuff from West Seneca as well.
Dude, I'm glad you did. And I will make sure that when I dice this video up, that I'll get it over to him. And after, this, we'll talk. Maybe I'll get him on the show as well. Yeah. I love local talent. It's different, right? Because with baseball, first of all, it's so much harder baseball wise from Buffalo or Western New York to make the jump, right?
Yeah.
And I could literally talk to you for 2 hours, man, because I love this. And, I really could. But sometimes you get overlooked.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes you get overlooked in the Canisiuses or the smaller schools. You get overlooked. It's not Vanderbilt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%.
So you got to shine that much brighter. But I see big things in the future for you, man. I really do. I'm very, very excited for you. We're gonna be down there this spring, so we'll definitely be chatting. I got to bring a special guest in here. I got to bring Mr. Jackson Scott.
Yes, sir. What's up, man?
This guy right here, this is Jackson Strong. Okay, you know how Daddy's always talking to these athletes? Well, I really wanted to talk to him. He was drafted. I think I said 6th round. Was it 7th?
Yeah, 7th round. Yeah, 7th.
Well, let's go with 6th.
So sounds better for sure.
He was drafted this year by the Detroit Tigers.
Oh, he's now like an MLB player?
Yeah, he's on his way. You can ask him. He's on his way. So what happens is you get drafted. They call you and they say, okay, you're drafted. And then the work really begins. Then he really has to compete with all these other crazy good guys.
I know that. Like there's days that he has to do that.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of days, but you should see him play ball. I'll show you some video after. I mean, this guy balls out, man. Right? Right? Who's your favorite player?
How about you? You got some film?
Hmm?
So he got some film. He looks like he balls too. Huh?
Talk to him. Go ahead. You want to ask him anything? You want to show him your stance? Show him your stance, man.
Lefty hit.
Good video.
Huh? Go ahead. Just show him. I'll tilt it down a little. This will be good video, Jackson. This will be good.
Right,
show him your stance.
Can you get the chair?
No, it doesn't need to be perfect. Just kind of get your. See that?
Oh, nice. Right-handed. Nice.
He's right-handed. Yeah. Older brother Deacon is 11, and he's a switch hitter. And this guy, man, though, this guy takes a lot of pride in his stance.
I love it.
I wanted you to introduce yourself to him. All right, tell him good luck, man.
Good luck.
Thanks. Nice to meet you, dude. Nice to meet you.
Meet you too.
Thanks, Jackson. That was really nice of you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Anyone named Jackson, and then especially when you're a pro athlete named Jackson, that's a big home run for this kid.
Yeah, I'm sure. Jackson Holiday was probably pretty cool too.
It definitely was. Yeah, yeah. So a couple more questions, and I'll let you get rolling. We'll get to a couple of fun questions, man. What's your favorite leisurely thing to do when you're not playing ball?
That's a great question. Honestly, I like to do a lot of different things kind of outside baseball. I mean, obviously, I love lifting, working out in general. I'm gonna encompass that in baseball, though. I'm not gonna say that, but just lifting, working out, running, just all that in general. I love. I golf a lot. Golfing's really fun. I mean, classic baseball player answer, but I golf a lot. Golf's super fun.
Hand-eye coordination. You got to keep things going.
Yeah, 100%. So I definitely say that. I have five electric guitars, 2 acoustic guitars. So I play guitar.
This is the meaty stuff, man. All right. So you play guitar.
I do. Yeah, I do a little bit. So I own
doesn't happen to be sitting right next to you, does it?
No, it does not. Not at the moment.
Well, maybe next time, man. You'll be on again. Maybe next time you break a riff. What's your favorite thing to play? You like playing country? You like playing rock?
Yeah, I think I kind of got into rock. That's kind of how I got into rock was, learning the guitar. And I think, playing rock, I mean, Metallica is my favorite band of all time. Kind of cliche. I saw them in Buffalo a couple years ago. It was unbelievable. They're just by far my favorite band. So,
they were at the Bill Stadium.
Yeah. It was awesome. I've played for about 5 years. I'm okay. But I've gotten over time. I've gotten a lot better. But initially I was not very good. I mean, I would say I'm a little musically inclined. Relative pitch wise in terms of music theory. I got a little bit there. I did a little bit of that stuff in high school. So I just love music, man. Just in general, I listen literally everything.
Who's your favorite actor?
Favorite actor, I would probably say Zendaya. Ever since Euphoria, or actress, I guess. Yeah, I'd probably say Zendaya. Ever since Euphoria, I've watched a bunch of stuff with her, and everything I've watched with her has been phenomenal. And I think she's really super talented. I just love her. I mean, even as a person, but in general, as an actress, she's unbelievable. I think she's probably my favorite actress. In terms of actor, I mean, The Rock is the man. He's always been the man.
The Rock is the man.
Like in terms of an actor, is he good? Probably not. But
I go with Denzel Washington, but The Rock is good.
That's awesome.
What's your favorite Michael Jackson song, man?
Favorite Michael Jackson song, probably. I really like Dirty Diana. I think that's not. It's mainstream, but if I'm going to go with
really. I mean, no, dude, listen, I would never expect that as an answer. You're a cool dude, man. I'm really glad we got to do this. Again, I can't thank you enough for taking some time. You're going to crush it, man. Best of luck and best with everything.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Donovan. I appreciate you. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Got it. We'll talk soon. Thanks, man. Bye.
Yes, sir. Have a good one.